Hello, my name is Mark Stair, and I submitted a pretty radical idea for the EOS COVID hackathon. Since we're only given 3 minutes to do that presentation, I thought I would do a more of a long format presentation to get my ideas out. The first thing I talked about was the we are in some of humanity's best moments in some respects. And some people don't like to hear this or are so focused on listening to all the bad stuff on the media. We're just inundated with all the bad. Media has to be extreme to get our attention. So it continues to bombard us with all the negative news. I first realized this when I lived in Singapore and the Rodney King riots were going on, and we were in Singapore. The Rodney King riots were only a 2-block area of only LA. But I would have people come up to me in Singapore and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry of what's happening in the United States." But it wasn't happening in the United States. It was only happening in a 2-block radius of the United States. But the media fills it up and makes it look like mass chaos going on. But if we look at what we have accomplished for humans and in some respect for Earth, when we come together is amazing. The technological advances with Moore's law, we have all the technology we need to do anything we want to do right now. Back when the ozone problem of CFCs came to our attention, we were able to work together and solve that crisis. And people talk about this evil corporation or that evil corporation, but it was actually DuPont who came up to the plate with a new solution and was able to create an alternative to save our beautiful Earth and the ozone around it. Same with whaling. The whales were becoming extinct, and humans came together to put a ban on whaling. I used to think that population growth was out of control until I really started studying it, and birth rates are actually down. As more and more people become educated, specifically women, the birth rates start to come down, and as extreme poverty, which is also better than ever around the world, there's less third world countries that has become better. Now, your situation might be different, your personal situation, but globally, things have become better. And before the riots for the George Floyd situation, we were at a lowest extreme violent deaths in the United States and probably around the world because of wars and stuff. So we are capable as humanity to do whatever we put our minds to do. At the same time, our existing systems are not set up to deal with something like COVID or ecological changes, most importantly with climate change and other issues that you hear about the world. We're just not set up to deal with these issues in our current economic systems. when AI or even the Facebook was really driven by sort of an AI type thing for the 2016 US elections and Brexit and things like that, we were not prepared to deal with that and deal with Facebook in the manner it needed to be dealt with. Facebook could have fixed that problem in one day of coding, but they did not. Yes, I'm a hater of Facebook. They could have done so much to bring society around the world together, and yet they decided to just focus on the dollars. So screw you, Facebook. Fix your dang problems. When you look around of how our solutions will come into play, people talk about cryptocurrencies and decentralization and things like that. But there's one thing that will never, ever be decentralized. And that is us humans. Our human bodies can never be decentralized. So if you look at, oh, I want 100% decentralized, you're dead. Decentralization is not the answer. Moving from your body into your family, into your household, that's not decentralized. Moving into your community, where your local services are, whether they're your utility services for water or your library, your store to get your toilet paper during COVID, and all your food, are not decentralized. Humans have always worked together in what you could call tribes of people. But our communities, on one hand, my community is great. It's great, but I don't interact with my neighbors as much as I think that my heart wants me to. I would be glad to help out any neighbors, but we have gone into this situation of so independent. We think we're so independent. We're not independent. Just think about this water. How this water arrived at me. Hundreds of people from utility companies are bringing this water to me. I use a filter created by some corporation to filter out this water further. And then I have a refrigerator to keep the water cold and the electricity it comes to. We are all interconnected. We are not separate individuals. We think we are. We're not. We live on this earth, all interconnected together. From things from China, other places in the world, or just down the street. That's delicious. So as humans, we need to stop hiding behind anonymity and what Bitcoin was trying to be, a anonymous currency, which turned out not to be. And I'm not saying that everything in your life has to be open and non-anonymous. I like to do things that I want to be anonymous about, and so do you. But I'm not talking about those systems. We have plenty of systems for that. Bitcoin and all these others that you can use, the privacy coins and so on. Use it. This is not meant to be a system for 100% of what we do, just like you might use credit cards 90% of the time and cash for 10% of the time for buying something from the guy down the street. So given that it's us humans, not your nation, your state, or your Democrat or Republican or any of that crap. It doesn't matter. What matters is your local situation, your body, your local resources, your community. We need to strengthen that local communities around the world. And then from your local community, where all your services and where jobs are and everything like that, to the globe. It's all noise. It doesn't matter. We make such a big deal. Yeah, it matters right now in our current economic system, but it doesn't need to matter. You need to make sure that the air you breathe from the earth, that the earth continues to provide, the abundance is provided. We're seeing some incidents with this COVID. A farmer had so many potatoes that he normally sells to restaurants and industrial that are closed down during COVID and just gave them away. There's so much abundance for everyone on earth. Earth provides us everything we need. So, what does that mean? Our minds, our bodies, and everything else and I hope I don't lose people in this part, but the everything else, the connection between humans, the ecosystems on our earth that are providing such abundance to us. I look at that as our spirit, our intention to go out and purchase things or buy things or all of that. It's hard to even quantify. The economists, the economists don't even agree, don't even understand how the system works. It just works because we make it work. So the answer is authentic, in my mind, authentic bodies, authentic humans coming together to make a change that we want to make. What would that change look like? What would it be? I don't have the answers. I don't even want to give the answers. I want you to come together inform those answers. We have everything we need, all the technology. eosio, I think, is the best foundation for a transactional and voting system that we use as the baseline. Then we look at all the people in the ecosystem, whether they're in EOS or Ethereum or wherever, the talent out there is, again, it's in abundance. So how do we pull those together? How do we make that happen? If we look at, since I'm with Tippett, who supports our team together, we've been working on this a couple of years. We support 65 tokens, and each one of those tokens, we don't charge anything to add tokens to Tippett. But one of the things we do is some community representative asked for support of the token, and I'm able to go look into it, see what they're doing, and have a little understanding. So I get to see many different models. And then I found Seeds at joinseeds.com. Their vision is to create a better than free currency. What does that mean? Their mission is to pay people to regenerate our earth and our communities. Could they do that? Well, 162 page presentation lays it out very well. What they've done is amazing, even though it's just starting. They've created, through Haifa.earth, a decentralized human organization. And again, our bodies aren't decentralized, but bringing together people with expertise from anywhere around the world is the decentralized part. So I envision a system where groups of 10 people or so can focus on things like, let's say, COVID. Maybe there's 10 people on how to deal with masks, or what the people in the community are representing. It would be groups of people. They call it sociocracy. I don't know how to say that. But circles of expertise that can solve issues. Now, you shouldn't have to do this kind of work and activity as a volunteer basis. You should do these regenerative activities and get credits for them. Back in the day, reading Debt 5,000 Years, there was never barter system. It was always like a credit system. I would give you this item, and then you would give me a credit, so that when I come to you and say, hey, I need a flashlight, oh yeah, you have a credit of that other thing. Here it is. And we don't need a centralized authority running all this, because we can do it ourselves. the internet technology, communications technology, the way we can interact on Zoom or wherever, meet face to face is all available right now. Many of the past changes in humanity, for example, the Renaissance supposedly was started after the Black Plague, and forgive me if I've got my eras mixed up, but when people go through significant changes like COVID, it provides an opportunity to reboot the system and restart. But we don't have to restart from nothing. We look at all the tools in our toolbox around the world. Everything we know, and bring those together for a new solution. If we look at the technical details of EOS and EOSIO and seeds, we can transmit transactions of any type, whether they're monetary or smart contract like type things, in a half second to anywhere, to anyone in the world with no fees. In fact, the seed system is three things. One is how many transactions, let's say you're a business, how many, or even an individual, how many transactions are you making? The breadth of those transactions, how many people are you touching through those transactions? So it's the number and the breadth. And the final piece, which is just brilliant, is how well you are contributing to Earth and the humans and species and everything on the Earth. It's a regenerative index that's a multiplier of the other two. So if you have a very high regenerative index for the work you do or your organization, you will get more of the pool of resources coming back to you. You might not even have to think about profit anymore. Imagine a tool like Tippet, and I use this as an example because Tippet was it wasn't set up as a gifting economy type tool. We just wanted to be players in this market, in the EOS ecosystem. We wanted to be involved. I'm so happy how it turned out. It was almost an accident to support all the different tokens. You know, I think we started with EOS and then added a couple of ours in, and then people started asking us, "Can you support our token? Can you support ours?" And we just started doing it. We have no we have no business plan for Tippet. There's no economic model. It's just giving other people tokens, EOS-based tokens, for the fun of it, or for expanding their market and reach and getting it out. And people don't have to deal with wallets or anything like that because we just use their social. And it's not the best system technically because we're custodial. We have to be because we just work with their social ID. So it's like a layer on top of EOS. And Tippett is holding all the your social names. But then we started finding out that we can get worker proposal funds and earn some TILOs from supporting TILOs on there. And it's a lot of fun. The Tippett would be work really well in the seeds ecosystem because it's providing a service, not focused on profits and things like that, but just providing a service that's good for all the people who use it. People love Tippett, and I love that people love Tippett. So the idea is really no idea. The idea is let's all just come together and create the best system we can come up with using all our knowledge of all other systems and existing fiat systems and everything like that. And create a human system. I still, all the readings I've done and all the various different things, whether economics or politics or something, I haven't found something better than what Dan Larimer and the Block One EOS mantra is protecting life, liberty, and property. It's so simple. If people are willing to just stick with those three things in this system, you couldn't, with that mindset, you can't exploit children. You're exploiting their life and their liberty. You couldn't choke George Floyd to death. It would not be acceptable. You cannot steal somebody else's property. Most of the existing cryptocurrency, what I call digital tokens and money, because the cryptocurrencies is too technical. People are not gonna go with that. So it's just DTM. With the idea of moving from ATM, sort of represents the ATM machine, but I refer to it as analog traditional money. People are comfortable with that and businesses are comfortable with that. Moving to digital tokens and money, which is all the cryptocurrency type things. We've made this transition so many times from analog to digital. And I'm not saying that traditional money is not digital. It's highly digital, but it's also centralized. It's hidden digital. When we move from ATM to DTM, so many positive changes can manifest if we manifest them in a positive way. And how do we manifest them in a positive way? Well, we do that through ourselves, through our involvement, through our participation in that system. and creating simple systems where anyone can be involved. The seed system has a brilliant reputation and joining system where you first have to get invited by another person within the system, and then you become a visitor. Think of it like a country. Hey, come visit me in Portugal or Barcelona or Italy or wherever. Well, first you come in as a visitor. Then once you're in that location, maybe you start working and contributing. And so within this system, you would come in as a visitor, invited by through social ID, like Dan and Block One's patent, or like the seeds method for being invited by another person. And then you start building your contributions and reputation. And then you're just like going from a green card holder to a US citizen. It takes effort to achieve that. So you should have to commit effort, whether you're regenerating the planet, contributing to the formation of the Constitution and the user agreements and whatever technology we want to put into the system. Then you become a citizen, a resident. And when you achieve residency of this new system, which doesn't have a name, I think the people should formulate a name. Then you start earning the rewards of everybody else contributing to the system based on your contribution and your reputation and your regenerative earth activities. I had an analogy that I thought of the other day, which was, suppose there's a person in your town who every day gets up and picks up all the garbage laying on the sides of the roads and everywhere that the street cleaners can't get to or whatever. And this person does this every single day or 5 days a week for years and years, just cleaning up your town. Should that person ever go hungry or not have a place to live, providing such a service to your community? No. If a person is reforesting a degraded area, should that person ever go hungry or not have a roof over his head or her head? No. Today's system, there's no incentive at all to pick up a piece of garbage. No incentive. Once in a while, I walk around and I do pick up garbage, but I always ask myself, why are you doing this? There's no incentive whatsoever. Let the city do it. Let someone else do it. Why should I do it? It's because we should. It's because our obligation as humans on this beautiful earth is to take care of our home. Earth is our only home. We can send people up to Mars or whatever. I don't want to live on Mars. Look at this beautiful place. Why would we ever want to leave? the abundance of Earth, the beauty of Earth. When you look around during COVID and see the dolphins swimming in Venice, we had just gone to Venice last summer, and we were so happy that we did, because right after that it flooded because of climate change, and then the COVID happened, and the channels were clear, and you could see the animal, the fish and dolphins and everything. And so we could really relate to that, and I'd love to go back there again and see that change. So once you're a citizen or resident, you should be able to do anything you want within the system. Create, get involved in communities of different types, whether it's a global organization focused on climate change, or species, saving species, uh, or down to your local block within your community. Within Tippett, we had a person in Ghana, Africa. We have quite a few people in Africa with Tippett, thanks to our friends from Trios Community, another great project, who just needed $10,000 to start a garbage collection service in his community. His business plan consisted of having a bike and a little cart, and having a system to do that. And this a system like we create should immediately fund that person. And of course, you would want to be able to create organizations, tokens. Maybe there's local tokens. I think there's one in, it's a Brixton or something in Brixton, UK, where they have a local currency. Those things would be awesome. Whether they ride on this space system that I'm talking about, or another system, it doesn't matter. This is just one of possible many. We might start up this system, and maybe somebody else wants a different ideology of more like space travel, or who knows, right? It doesn't matter. They can fork the system and build their own. But everyone could be involved in a system that meets the needs of their mind, body, and soul. Which brings me to another point of this system is when EOS first launched, man, there was so much heart in that system. You have the awaken Kyle from the Awakenment explaining the system. His title of the Awakenment. You've got the Karma app to do good deeds. You've got Cipher Glass with Rob Finch, and everything EOS, that goal, and so much heart in that system. You got Shios with Crystal Rose and Brock Pierce in there as well. Just a lot of heart. But that heart since the June launch, and we're into 2 years now, it's diminished on the EOS. I think a lot of people realize that the money-driven system that's only focused on the money aspect gets corrupted. Rob Finch left. Many people just kind of simmered down on the system. Oh, I want to mention M Blue Crypto with this Uplift Nation. Can't forget that one. Those kind of things are what's gonna bring us to a new system. We need that spirit. We need that soul. For a long time, religion has sort of diminished in participation. I live near two churches, so I get to see the activities going on even before the COVID. And yet I after all these study, I was sort of an angry atheist at one point. And study, and what I realized is, if you imagine the whole universe, or just all the systems on Earth, whatever your scale would be, as like all the sand on all the beaches, the amount of knowledge that science knows can fit it into a bucket or a cup. We can argue how big it is. Some people might think we know about as much as a thimble of sand, of all the sand in the world. Some people might say it might be all of Florida. Doesn't matter. We know so little about how the simplest things work. Like a living soil holds more organisms in a handful of living soil holds more organisms than all the humans on Earth. Working to grow everything from weeds to food for us, or food for animals, or anything. So we need space for the unknown. Science doesn't have all the answers, and will never have all the answers. As soon as we uncover one more layer of science in some area, we realize there's a bajillion more layers of that one subject. One thing I read, just the atom alone will cover 600 huge books trying to describe it. And yet you look at the atom and it's 90% space. Just like this. So the base idea is to build a system from ground up. An EOSIO chain is the best that I know of to make this happen. And have the people involved to put in all the constitution or user agreement or judicial system for a launch. And maybe it accepts money as well, of multiple different currency types and things. That would be great to help fund the system. And it's a huge idea to believe that we could take a system and get enough people interested in it. I'm not that great at community building and marketing and having a lot of followers. Very, very few. So I'm not great at that part. But a lot of the people out there are really great at that and can help make that happen with the right incentives and systems. And listening to Eckhart Tolle with The Power of Now, all I could come up with was, what could we do now? If this system takes 100 years to manifest, but it's the system that's going to make our children's children's children proud of us, then we have to start now. I believe if each one of you would probably feel like we need a different system. The existing economic system is not working for a large majority of people. Working great for a few percent, but not for most of the people. So we need to change it. So this would be a community-driven system, but one of the ideas that I had was, I'm not interested in, at least in the United States, of neither Democrat nor Republican. They're just fighting each other, and it's ridiculous. The system is ridiculous, and I think it's probably the same in with the Labour Party in the UK and so on. The system is just ridiculous. So what if we created a system where people can have a third choice? A world global citizen. Become a global citizen. Well, what would that look like? If enough people opted out of the existing political systems and joined a global system, and if we can get enough people and merchants, most importantly, to accept these currencies for their businesses, and that those merchants could pay their suppliers through these currencies, then we would have enough funds where we could start influencing existing politics. Start at the local level, and let's say that this system is, in my area, it's 10% sales tax. Let's say this system is creating 10% sales tax and it's getting momentum. Well, there's a pool of money here that could be used for the community. And everyone that's in the system can decide how to utilize that money for the community. But eventually this would gather attention from others. Like if 10% of your community is now involved in this system, maybe somebody stands up and say, I want to be mayor and I want to further propel this system. Then the system could fund the candidacy for that person to become mayor, and they come in, and this is the zipper concept. Now you've got somebody that's involved in both sides. They're in the local government and they're in this global system, currency and transactions. Now we can start making changes. Hey, anybody that uses my local town's currency, whether it's a unique one or part of the foundational, whatever, and incent all the merchants to start using it. And then it could just take off in that community. And then if you replicate it across more and more and move up from your city to your county or your state, now let's say you have state representatives and people that are in there that are supportive of this idea. We see some of this happening in Wyoming and Zug, Switzerland, where people are supportive of this, and it can really help the community and help the people and help the effort of where we need to be. And where do we need to be? The name of the idea that I finally came up with at the last minute was Terra Sapiens. This comes from the book by David Grinspoon of Earth in Grinspoon, Earth in Human Hands, where he talks about some of the challenges we face and some of the successes that I talked about at the beginning with the CFC and Stop Whaling, that we have accomplished things. But if we look at our role in this universe or on this planet, our best purpose would be to create a better world that our hearts know is possible, which Charles Eisenstein talks about. We know we can do better. We know we have all the technology to do it. Our hearts know it's possible. We just have to get our minds convinced we can make it happen. So as the power of now tells me, I will release this video and I will just see what will happen. I don't know. But what happens, happens in each moment of now. If you think we could do better than what we have currently, and if you think that although our existing systems like EOS and Bitcoin and even the US dollar are sort of working, and we can take it to the next level, let's figure out what that next level is. Let's work together and make it happen. Let's bring in all the experts and all the other systems. And let's create a single system beginning and see how many people we can get involved in. And let's make it a human first system. And let's evolve ourselves from destroying Earth as as a as a global species to regenerating. Whether that takes 2 decades, 3 decades, 1 century, 2 centuries, let's just begin.